for now. But just to quickly summarize for the benefit of all the people watching, I think we had a very, very comprehensive conversation on global macros where you made the point that this time around, the central banks have far more resources than what they had during the Great Depression, because a lot of parallels are being drawn. Last time they had a gold standard and hence they couldn't do too much of stimulus. This time they have really been ahead of the curve. And you made that point of short-term gain versus possibly some pain in the longer term. So we have chosen the short-term gain part and pumped in a lot of liquidity at this point in time. You also made the larger point of productivity, growth, and population, where we saw the Japanese example where Japan didn't grow in spite of the stimulus. And one of the reasons is probably because they didn't allow migration. So they didn't see the increase in working age population. Unlike Japan, I think US has been very, very proactive, and they've allowed intellectual migration, and a lot of people have contributed to their growth. Similarly, India and China continue to have very favorable demographics. So it is very possible that our growth rates continue to be superior even in the future. And these large pools of capital will definitely value growth at a premium. So we will see a lot of we can see a lot of capital flowing into India. Second, you made the point about India being very asset rich and balance sheet being in good shape. You also made that point, and if I were to coin a term called economic racism, I think we face that compared to the Western countries, where they get rated much higher than us in spite of having worse off balance sheets. So hence we have to tread more carefully. But the simple point is we have a lot of resources, and like you said rightly, that RBI has been a pinch hitter and has put in liquidity immediately and has been even a bit ahead of the curve, I would say, in this crisis. But the government has been a little more cautious because, like you rightly pointed out, I think the supply side bottlenecks have also to be eased. You can't just pump in demand. Both have to go parallelly. And like you said, we have a lot of resources as a country. And you made a point to all the assets that we have, which can be unlocked. So definitely there is a lot that the government can do. And the growth rates can be much higher if we are able to successfully attract a lot of capital for manufacturing. I mean, we did that in IT, and you made a point that with more and more companies wanting to come to India, we can take advantage of that. And again, there, I think bad news travels faster than good news. You gave that very nice example of Vestas setting up in India in record time. And I'm sure we'll have many, many more examples in the future as well. So I think we can do with a lot of optimism on that front. And you very nicely explained, Nilesh Bhai, on the industry side, on asset class side, that overweight equity, a bit overweight gold, and also some of the credit issues that we have seen is behind us. And still you made the larger point that, and I also kind of reiterated that having a diversified portfolio through mutual funds, you would have still waded through this entire period in a much better manner, because individually a lot of people who bought individual debt papers have seen much bigger drawdown. And again, you know, on your philosophy and framework, I think you gave a nice overview on how equity is managed and how fixed income is managed, and where you made the point of having boundaries, and then within those boundaries, enough independence given to each fund manager. And I think a robust process and a rule-based philosophy, like you said, your job is to ensure you don't make the same mistake that individuals make as an institution, because we are professional fund managers, and liquidity being at the core of all your investment decisions. I think that was fantastic. And lastly, but not the least, on the industry front, like you said, we have a huge growth path ahead of us. But I think both of us, whether it's the mutual fund industry or the investment distribution or the advisory professionals, have to be responsible enough to be able to be transparent and guide investors towards the right direction. And the last part really, I've learned something from you, Nilesh Bhai, again today, that this entire period of crisis has really taught us to be appreciative of all the people around, and really the way humanity and people around us have risen to the occasion. A lot of these stories, like you said, don't get talked about. And, our media channels or social media platforms are flooded with a lot of negativity. I think we can do with a lot of positivity in these periods. And you made a very nice analogy that we can all become a candlelight in this darkness. And if we do that, I think the world will be a brighter place. So on that note, positive note, Nilesh bhai, thank you very much. It was a fantastic conversation. Thank you very much.